Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. Welcome back to another live show. And I've got my sound of the super chat, my didgeridoo. So if those super chat come in, this thing will ignite and you'll be able to hear the sound of the super chat. So without further ado, got a few things. I've had a wicked, and I mean wicked headache. And I've been trying to overcome. I don't think I sound too congested, but I've had this I've had something. Oh, first comment, but third to join the live stream. Hey, third is just as good as first place. You know, the good thing about these live streams, even if you're number 100, you know, I still consider you a gold medal. So, welcome aboard, everyone. We're just going to get started here, and I hope I don't sound too congested. I've been trying to self-medicate. I've got my concoction here that I mix up when I feel kind of stuffy, and I've had a wicked headache. It's kind of headache that just kind of like it feels like it's back behind your eye, and you can't really function. So I was able, the good thing is I was able to at least, work my way through that. And I said, you know what, I've got to do a live show, headache or not. So I had one of these puppies that I mix up, my special blend. And, hopefully this will cure all of that. Oh, the Didge. Hey, and Jake, just for you, man, for your loyal viewership, I'm going to do a Didgeridoo. And if y'all want to hear more of that, y'all need to do the super chat. That was just kind of a special for Jake, rather, because Jake's always on here, and it's good to have him here. He talks about, we got Terry Peppers with the Lighthouse. We've got all kinds of cool stories. Trelp, dude, I'll give you a celebratory sound of the super chat as well. Trelp is another guy that is here a lot. Yeah, sometimes, man, you get this, and I'm working on my social distance. I'm always working on that, trying to say distance, this, that, and the other. But, sometimes you got an essential task, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I hope I don't coming down with what's going on, what's going around rather. But I've had, just like a sore throat, and I don't have a fever, but I've got congestion. I've got a wicked headache, and it's just awful. And then let's see, evening. Oh, Silas, welcome aboard, sir. Trelp says, my Mavic Mini is working again. When a drone is functional, when a drone is working, dude, that is one of the best things you can ever have. Good deal. So what do we have going on in the world tonight? Jake says, well, as the old joke goes, first the worst, second the best, third is one with the treasure chest. That's a good way to put it, man. And I want y'all to notice this green screen backdrop that I've got going now. It's kind of crazy, and y'all may have seen it from some older live shows, but I've got I filmed this green screen backdrop in Turks and Caicos on an island called Providenciales, and it was on a beach called Grace Bay. But there's some dude, and I don't know what is up with it. Some dude walking by with like a diaper on, and you'll see him here at some point. This video loops, my background loops, and it's let's see, how many minutes is it? Let's see here. Oh, it's only a 6-minute clip, so you ought to see diaper dude walk by, and it's just weird. It's one of those things. You put a camera on a tripod, and you don't really think about, what's going on. I mean, your thought process is, hey, I want to get it, as level as possible. This backdrop, by the way, I filmed it. I had an older camera. I didn't have my G Master lenses. I didn't have the, the top of the line gear, which is fine. I mean, everybody should start at a lower level with equipment and work their way up as their, business venture or whatever becomes more successful. But you'll see this diaper dude in a minute. It was just weird. I mean, some dude walking down the beach with a diaper on. I don't know. I don't know if there's a reason for it or what, but just keep an eye out in the back. Jake says, yesterday here in Kingston on the 401, we had a tanker roll over right near where I was truck spotting. I heard a crash and looked behind me, and there it was in the ditch. So what happened after you went over to the wreck in the ditch? I hope everybody was okay, man. That's freaky. Trump says, LOL, laughing out loud for everybody that doesn't know the acronyms. We've got some LOL. I do have something, and I'm going to unveil it. Let me go ahead and get it now and just kind of give y'all a teaser. Hold on just a second. I'll be right back. So this is something I've been working on, and it's kind of goofy. And again, I'm not gonna say what you could put in it. You look at this and you think, oh, geez, man, that's just another squirt bottle. And that's what you may think. I've got that. A little squirt, got the little thing on the top. You can pump it, a little pump, squirt bottle, whatever you want to call it. And you may look at this and say, oh, that's all that is. So you got your little pump. You can pump out whatever you want to pump out of it. And then when you're not using it, what's cool about this, it's got a little screw type thing, and you can kind of screw it, push down and screw, and it locks. And that's convenient because you want to seal your squirt bottle so that stuff doesn't dry out, and so that it's smaller, less tall to be able to travel with. So that's my squirt bottle. But what you may not have noticed about this, unless you hold it in your hands, this is not plastic. Well, I guess it's a type of plastic, but it's not a plastic that's hard. The top is. The top and the little, spout thingamajiggy. But this, the actual canister, which says 50 milliliter, this canister is made out of silicone. And you may wonder, well, why does he care about a silicone pump bottle? Well, here's why. Dramatic pause. Jake Eve says, it was carrying a flammable chemical called styrene, a very volatile and explosive chemical. Oh, man. So this right here is cool because it's a silicone type thing. So there's several reasons I wanted a silicone pump bottle. Number one, silicone is it's highly unlikely it's going to crack if you hit something. It's more of a, silicone is kind of a soft, kind of almost spongy type plastic type material. Whereas a hard plastic, something hard plastic, you hit something with it, the hard plastic's probably going to crack. That's just the nature of, of a hard plastic. But especially when you add a liquid in here, or in my case, a gel. I'm not going to tell you what kind of gel it is because, you can put whatever you want to in these. But I use a particular kind of gel because, I want to, better sanitize. So this is great for that because it may not crack in my pocket. Now, obviously, the pump may. But the other thing is, if you've ever put, and again, I don't recommend this, and none of this is a recommendation. This is for entertainment purposes only. But if you've ever left a plastic bottle, a hard plastic bottle in your car, and it's hot outside, you've probably found that the hard plastic bottle, the base of it, as the heat hits, it'll probably, deform. And then if you try to sit your hard plastic bottle down, now it's got a deformation and it's not going to sit flat. So it's going to topple over. You've in essence ruined your pump bottle. So that's why silicone is so important, because silicone is, so you can see it's very, it's very spongy like. It's a very soft very compressible type of plastic. So this is silicone, and this is the pump. But right here, this is where it gets better. This is a spray bottle, but this is a spray bottle with the bottle itself that's silicone. So this is a very soft, not hard, not something that one would be able to easily crack bottle. It says 50 milliliters. And then, of course, now the pump part and the pump, it's a hard plastic. So, it could crack or whatever. But I love these things because I can put whatever I want to in them. And because of the way that it's made, the material it's made out of, silicone versus a hard plastic, these are highly unlikely. It's highly unlikely that these will deform. So, obviously be careful if you've got liquids or anything that's in a hot car, especially if it's something that might be flammable, that could be a problem. But if you've got liquids or whatever that aren't flammable that you want to put, you want to put something in your glove box or your thing between the seat, that little armrest or whatever you call it, this is something that may provide value for you. And even if you're not, putting it in a place where it may be exposed to extreme heat, having these bottles is nice because, I can toss this in a bag. I can drop it. I can drop it on my desk, whatever. And the possibility of this canister cracking. Now, the top may crack, but the probability of the canister cracking is a lot less than something that's a hard and more brittle plastic type material. So I'm going to be doing an in-depth review for these, but I love these things, man. And I got a whole kit, and I'll be linking it on my website. This, I think it came with 6. I think it did. I've put put some liquids in some of the other ones because, I like to have my, I want to have a squirt bottle for the stuff that's very, it's not a gel. And then the stuff that's a gel, I want to be able to pump out and put on my hands. So, yeah, man. I mean, and especially, been having this stuffy nose and all this junk, I get to think about that. Sanitation is important. Jake says, it was carrying a flammable, okay, I read that. He said he called 911 right away as the load was styrene and it's flammable and explosive. And Jake says, I'm a firefighter myself, so whenever a flammable gas or dangerous chemicals involved, first call is 911. Then I stay near the scene to help if necessary. Well, that's important, man, because you've called for backup, and you're there volunteering your own time and expertise to better ensure the safety of all parties involved. So that's cheers to you, man. It's commendable. And then Jake says, styrene is a component of certain rocket fuel. There's a plant in Toronto that makes it. Very cool. So, yeah, we've got all kinds of cool stuff. Some more, I've got some drone videos incoming. I'm working on that. Speaking of drones, man, it's been so hot. I just go outside to fly the Mavic Air 2, and it's just like, whoa, burning up, man. It is burning up. But, we've got, again, strong research suggests that DJI is probably releasing some sort of new action camera by the end of 2020. And I think that makes sense. Again, with Mavic 3 rumored to be coming out the first quarter of 2021, it would only make sense that a drone that is rumored to have a modular camera would, if you're going to sell the drone in the beginning, at the start of the year, you probably want to sell the camera now so that people get the camera. It's like, well, this is a cool camera, but what if I attached it to a drone? Think about it. It's just kind of like, that's just common sense marketing, in my opinion. So let's see, what do we have here? What do we have? Oh, Google Stadia. Who here is, and again, I love Google. I love YouTube. But has anybody used Google Stadia? Again, I'm not a gamer. I just had an ad just pop up for it, and I don't play games just because I don't have time, man. I got all these businesses, man. I got YouTube, and it's just no. I mean, nothing wrong with gaming. I mean, and actually a lot of people have turned gaming into a business nowadays, which is very innovative. But yeah, has anybody played Stadia? It's basically a cloud. A cloud video game streaming service. So instead of having that physical console on your, connected to your TV or monitor or whatever, you've got a Google Chromecast Ultra or something like that plugged into a monitor or TV, and you're using that to play your game. And instead of having all expensive computer hardware, the expensive computer hardware is on the other end. It's been streamed to you. In theory, it sounds cool. But, I think of network congestion, that's kind of crazy. Jake says, if I need to help, my green light, if need to help, my green light comes on and away I go. Very cool, man. Very cool. Jake says, volunteer firefighters have flashing green lights in Ontario, Canada. It's the law to yield to flashing green light. Never knew that. And we don't, in the United States, we don't have anything like that, do we? We've just got, I know there's volunteer firefighters, but I don't think they have a green light or anything like that. Green light, if you're talking about like the mafia or something like that, green light means like a hit. So if somebody's got a green light, it's like they're going after them or whatever. Speaking of that, there was a very good, let me find the name of this. There's a very good documentary, if you like documentaries. And again, I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't watch a lot of movies because I don't have time. But I watched, it was a documentary on I think it was it Netflix or, no, actually I think it was Amazon. It was called The Last Narc. Now that is a very, very well done documentary, and I encourage you to watch it if you're into like the mafia and the cartel and that sort of stuff. It's really cool. I mean, it's not cool what happened, but it's a very analytical look at what went down. And this was back, I guess it was the early 80s, the early 90s, back when they had all of the, the Iran Contra and all that. Actually, it was back when George W. Bush Sr. was president. And they had the Iran Contra and all the drug lords down in Mexico and Colombia and all that. But it was a very interesting story. Kind of disturbing at the same time because you listen to it, it really lets you know, us as, us, a lot of us as civilians, you hear something and you assume that what you hear is fact. But the reality is if you really analyze something and you look at, that seems plausible, but it's not necessarily factual. If you look at things, it was a very enlightening look. It's something that happened a long time ago, and a lot of people, may have had other assumptions. But if you watch that documentary, I mean, it was pretty. It was pretty, not pretty wild. I mean, it was actually very wild. I mean, again, if you're into that kind of stuff, I mean, I've always been infatuated with, the mafia and the cartel and organized crime in general. So it's just, it's always an entertaining thing to watch. But let's see. Jake says, I think the United States has red lights and blue lights for EMS. Yeah, I think you're right, man. That makes sense. That definitely makes sense. So, let's see, what do we have? I'm pulling something up here. Yeah, I want to get some guests on the show, man. I've just been, again, with this, it's like a headache and it's like congestion, like a sore throat. I mean, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know. and you hear some stuff. You hear about, well, I don't even want to go into that because that's, let's see, what is it? What is this video? What is this icon? There's a new feature in YouTube, and surprisingly, I don't have it yet, or I don't think I have it yet, but I was watching another channel, and it's not just the Super Chat. Now, Super Chat, which I do have, is for live streaming, live shows. But there was another channel. I was watching a video that had been previously recorded. It wasn't a live show. It was just a standard video upload. And they had an option underneath that said applause or applaud. So it's kind of like a tip jar for a video, which is super cool. Jake says, I know in New York State, firefighters have red or blue lights, but usually red or blue for EMS. Yeah, that's crazy, man. Yeah, you don't think about, I mean, anybody can be anywhere, and I mean stuff can go down, and you've got to hop into the life-saving mode. And I mean, I'm not in the military or anything along those lines, but I did have a situation, and I don't think I've told this story on YouTube Live, but I was out, and we were just out on the boat, and on a lake, no big deal, just out on the lake, and a thunderstorm came up, and at the time this was a boat. It was a 18.5 foot, it was a small one of my small boats, and took it out in the lake, and the thunderstorm came up. So, taking it out of the water, this, that, and the other. And then when we take the boat out of the water, there is there's a thunderstorm. Oh, Hippie Drone. Hippie Drone's got a cool comment. We're going to get to that. I'll tell the story real quickly, and then we'll get to your comment there, man. Yeah, so, and these people were out in a thunderstorm, and I looked at them, and they didn't have a motor or whatever, and they had something they were doing. They had taken the top off of a cooler, and they were trying to paddle their boat back to the, I guess you would call it a cove. And they were getting sucked down the main river. So, I get back in the boat, go out and get them in a thunderstorm. There was lightning, cloud to ground lightning. I mean, this is not a safe adventure, right? So I go out and get them, bring them back, not even so much as a thank you. So, it's crazy nowadays how, there's no, regardless of the severity of the situation, there seems to be very little appreciation for risk. And I mean, basically, I went out and, pretty much risked my life to bring these people back in. And there wasn't even, so much as a thank you. It was kind of like, I'm a service provider. I'm not a service provider. I was doing that because I didn't want you to get sucked downstream and die. It's just, I don't know. It's crazy, man. The Hippie Drone says, sorry to go off onto something else, but just wanted to ask you something. If Chinese apps get banned by Trump, does that mean you will lose access to the DJI apps? Ooh, oh man, that is an interesting thought. That is a very interesting thought, and that is super interesting. So, I think, and again, the media are known for blowing things out of proportion, and I think I know where that question stemmed from, which makes sense. There's a popular, and I've never joined it because I don't trust it, but there's a popular, it's not anywhere nearly as good as YouTube. It's not even in the same caliber. I mean, it's kind of like, you've got professional football, and then you've got college football, and then you've got, high school football, and then you've got elementary school football, and then you've got people playing like flag football. So, just like a neighborhood, like friends and stuff, doing that crap. So TikTok is kind of like that. It's kind of like flag football. And YouTube is kind of like professional football. So, there's been a big thing in the news Hold on one second, guys. I'll be right back. Just 1 second. I apologize. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I had to step away from my desk. Yeah, so the hippie drone, great. That is, dude, that is a freaking amazing question. So, I, I don't know. I mean, these are uncertain times. But, to respond immediately to your question, I don't know. There's companies that are large enough, and there's companies that have such good product that I think they can probably create subsidiaries in other countries. Well, I don't know if it would be a subsidiary in another country, but they would do some sort of corporate structure, which would probably entitle them to, bring that product to market in another country. I mean, maybe if it's not, maybe they don't give it the same name, they give it something else, another name, but they still bring the product to market in another country. I don't know if I'm really afraid of that happening, but, if it becomes a situation where, and I don't want to single out a certain country, it just so happens that TikTok, the one that's all over the news, it happens to be a Chinese app. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm not profiling a certain country or whatever, but the fact that DJI is also based out of China, Shenzhen, I mean, it's one of those deals where you don't, how far can this go? If you're going to ban a social media network, which I don't trust TikTok, and I don't care if, I don't care which country it came from. I don't trust it. I think it's got some bad juju with it. This is not, TikTok is not something I want to tinker with. And I know a lot of people do now. But again, if you look at TikTok in comparison to YouTube, I mean, YouTube, let's say that YouTube is a Maserati, TikTok would be like the skateboard missing a wheel. It's still a semi-effective means of transportation, but it's only got 3 wheels instead of 4, and it doesn't have a motor. So, I mean, TikTok is not anywhere close to the level of YouTube. Let me pull something up here. I'm going to pull something up in let's see, let me pop this up here. Let's see. I'm going to type this in. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Whoa, that's complicated. Let's see. See if I can. Wow. Whoa, Rijunui DJI Bubai Zhangjian Ren Xing. So what I was saying, I don't think DJI will have anything to worry about. But, I mean, that's I don't know, man. I mean, that's a scary thought and a tough question. I mean, it's I don't know. that is, Well, and I mean, it's kind of a slippery slope too, because I mean, if it went that far, I don't think it would just be, your question, does that mean you will lose access to the DJI apps? Well, to my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think an app is probably located on the Apple App Store, which is probably the United States. I may be wrong with that assumption, but if something does happen, is it impacting only the software portion, the app, or is it also affecting the hardware? Because if you're getting into the hardware portion, then this is taking a step further. I mean, you're not just talking about software. You're not just talking about social media sharing apps like TikTok or whatever. You've taken it you've taken it to the next level. You've taken it to hardware, and you go to hardware. Well, there's a lot of hardware that doesn't even have an app associated with it that comes out of countries like China. So I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, if something like that happened, I mean, it could be horrible, because there's so much technology, especially a lot of technology that can be obtained for a more affordable price. And I don't know. I mean, I can't predict the future. Brad, welcome aboard, man. Jake says, while I was truck spotting today, I got to see a cop stop for a car for going through the traffic lights when they shouldn't. In a situation like a boat in distress on the Lake Ontario, the fire department would also call for assistance from the Coast Guard. Very cool maneuver, calling for the Coast Guard. One thing I do like while truck spotting is to get the trucks to honk for me. Brad says, trying to decide which MacBook Pro to get currently, and how much to spend on it, which specs to upgrade, etc. Here's the thing, man. If you need portability, go with a MacBook Pro. If you don't need portability, go with a 27-inch iMac, because if you go with a 27-inch iMac, at least even the most current iMac, the 2020 that just got announced a few days ago, if you go with that 27-inch iMac, not the smaller one you can't do it, but the 27, it's got a door on the back. And make sure it does before you buy it, but the door on the back allows you to upgrade the memory yourself. So just get the base model iMac. If you're going with a desktop, upgrade the memory yourself. Get the memory off of Amazon or somewhere. Check my website. I've got a link to memory for the iMac. But if you're in a rush and you want to get a MacBook right now, or MacBook Pro, keep in mind that the memory in that is not user upgradable. So you get what you get. Just to kind of give you an idea, and mine's kind of on the higher end, and I don't know if this is something that would really be necessary, but the specs that I have right now for my iMac that's in front of me right now, I'm running, and I didn't go with the fastest processor, because they had I think a 2.4. I went with a 2.3. So I've got the MacBook Pro 16-inch 2019, 2.3 gigahertz, 8-core i9 processor. And I've got 32 gigs of memory, and then I've got the 1 terabyte of SSD. And then Brad says, I think it's an older design. I'm debating between 13 or 16-inch. I'm looking on the higher end. Okay, now, keep in mind the 13-inch, and I'm using a 15 now, the 13 and the 15, as far as portability is concerned, they feel somewhat the same. Now, obviously, the 15 or the 16, yeah, it's going to have a bigger screen, but as far as portability, once it's closed, there's a negligible difference. So, from that perspective, it's not a big deal. One thing I do like, and I use the 13, Jake says, well, I'm off now. See y'all on the next live. Definitely do, Jake. Always a pleasure. And, Jake, this is a celebratory shout-out to you, man. Thanks for always tuning in, man. Yeah, so So with the 13, man, one thing I like about the 13-inch MacBook Pros is that the touchpad isn't as big, and that seems kind of weird to say that. But what I found is that my palms, I got big hands, when I'm using this big touchpad on the 15-inch, sometimes they kind of interact with the touchpad. Not as much on my 16-inch as they did the 15. I don't know if they've changed however it functions or whatever. The 13, I like the smaller touchpad on it. Now, the 13 doesn't have, when I'm using the 15 like I am now, it's got the Intel graphics, but then it's also got the upgraded graphics, the GPU. And with that, if you're using it as a video editing computer, you're probably going to notice better performance from the 15-inch because of the graphics card. So, that's one thing to consider. Now, with that being said, if you're using a 13 and you plug it into an eGPU, external GPU, I use an eGPU for the 15-inch MacBook Pro. If you do that, you're getting the benefits of an external graphics processing unit. You can plug multiple monitors into your eGPU video card, and, it may not be that big of a deal. Typically, when you're looking at, a 15-inch versus 13-inch MacBook Pro configuration, you're going to find that you're going to get more processing power out of the 15-inch. That's just the nature of the game. Personally, especially if you're going to be doing video editing, I would not go anything less than 16 gigs. I think 32, and 16 gigs is probably more than enough. But 32, I've noticed that's great. I watch my specs. I do a lot of 4K video editing, and the jump for me from 16 to 32 was significant. Would I go more than 32? Probably not, because I don't typically have that many other programs running while I'm video editing, so 32 seems to be fine for me. Now, if I was using an iMac desktop, I would bump that puppy up to 128 gigs, just because I would be able to upgrade the memory myself in the 27-inch iMac. Now, like you were saying, you had to uninstall your data and operating system from your current Mac. Not working at all now. Yeah, you need a new Mac. Now, here's and I don't want to sound harsh when I say this. The thing is that, you're right now, Apple's about to release their own, in-house processors, the ARM. They're going to go away from Intel, and they're going to switch to ARM. So whatever you buy now, take into account that whatever you may buy now is going to be obsoleted much more quickly, because they're coming out with ARM. And if you remember, and I don't know, I'm an older dude, man. I got gray hair. I'm about to turn 40. I'm getting old. Old. But I remember when Mac OS X first came out. And when Mac OS X first came out, it was PowerPC. So that was before they switched to Intel. And then they went to Intel, and it's like, oh, we're going to Intel. Oh, no big deal. And then not too long after that, there's no longer PowerPC and Intel apps. It's then Intel only. But see, now they're making that transition back. So keep in mind, whatever you may choose to buy that's Intel-based, and I'm running an Intel-based MacBook Pro right now, but whatever you may choose to buy, there's a good possibility that within the next few years, I don't think they're going to do a hard phase out immediately, but within the next few years, probably whatever you purchase is probably going to become rapidly obsoleted. Brad says 16 gigs of RAM. Yeah, 16 gigs of RAM I think is fine. I've gotten by, I had the first MacBook Pro 15-inch i9, and I had 16 gigs of RAM in it and a 512 gig SSD for storage. And that was fine. I mean, it was fast, no complaints. But when I upgraded from the i9 6-core that I had to the i9 8-core that I've got now, there were two things that I did to better future-proof it. Now, again, I upgrade quite quickly, and that's only because I do so much editing, and I run this YouTube business, so I'm pretty much always upgrading. But when I bought this, I knew that I wanted at least a terabyte of SSD, and I couldn't justify the bump up from 1 terabyte to I think 2 terabytes. I think it was the next. but 1 terabyte was nice because what that lets me do what the 1 terabyte lets me do is have enough extra internal storage to do some video edits, export them. Whereas with 512, once I had a lot of footage, I go out and film for the day. When I had a lot of footage from a day's worth of 4K filming, not to mention the Final Cut Pro 10 and other app installs on my Mac, 512 didn't leave a lot of room for editing and exporting without attaching and it's easy to attach a USB SSD or a USB hard drive and use that extra storage. But to do it when you want to stay lean and just pull your laptop out, having at least 1 terabyte of SSD is nice. But the memory, I would definitely, I think 16 is probably going to be fine for you, man. But, the only reason I jumped from 16 to 32 was, I just wanted, because I like to run a lot of junk. I mean, I've got stuff I'll leave open. And, when I do that, random access memory, RAM, the more programs you have open concurrently, the more quickly that degrades your system performance. Now, take me, for example, my use case, I've got a lot of stuff, maybe I've got a live stream going. While I'm doing this live stream, I've got, a Final Cut Pro 10 project rendering within Final Cut Pro 10. And then I've got something exporting out of compressor for YouTube upload. So, I'm often doing a lot of things concurrently. So with that being the case, 32 for me is somewhat mandatory. 32 for most users, you can probably get by with 16. And Brad said for video and editing use, yeah, man, get 16 gigs of RAM. I would do at least a 512 SSD, but optimally I would do a 1 terabyte SSD because I think you're going to enjoy having that extra space without having to plug in an external USB-C SSD or USB-C hard drive. I think you're going to like that. Brad says, did you see the DJI racing drone leak possibly? Whoa, I have not. I have not seen that. Let me see. Let me pop that up here. I'm going to have to check that out, man, because I think, it begs a question. If the DJI racing drone is something that's actually going to hit, how many DJI people are actually in the racing side of the game? I mean, are on the racing side of the game. I mean, are most of your DJI people, are they into photo and or video, or do they care about racing too? That begs an interesting question. And also, remember a long time ago when DJI came out with the FPV goggles, the DJI goggles. When they came out with those, they came out with the originals, which were kind of the white goggles, and then they came out with the black ones, which were I think they were the DJI Racing Edition goggles. Well, why did they release Racing Edition goggles? Yet, to this day, DJI has not released a racing drone. That just doesn't make a lot of sense. I think there's a lot of, to your point about the drone leak, I think there's a lot of, I think there's probably a lot of credibility to that rumor, and it would be a new market. I mean, DJI likes to experiment, and, that would be a great experiment because drone racing is pretty big. I mean, there's drone racing league and all kinds of stuff, and I know a lot of people that are deeply involved with that have been very successful with those ventures. But, me personally, I'm competitive. I'm competitive in the business world, but I'm not really competitive with a controller in my hand or a football in my hand. I don't know, man. I like to be, I don't know, intellectually competitive. Who knows? But the hippie drone says, going to send something I found on drone. It will be 2 parts due to length. Very cool. Very, very cool, man. Yeah, but it's just like, dude, I've had a wicked, I tell you this, This beverage right here is clearing that head. I had a wicked headache, just like super wicked, man. I've had this nasally stuff, congestion, and haven't been coughing. But, man, I tell you, this stuff's going around, dude. You gotta watch out. And I've got, again, these bottles that I've got here. I'm going to be doing, again, I'll be doing a review on this, but me finding these silicone pump and silicone squirt bottles has been a huge discovery. So I'm happy about that. And I quote, the hippie drone on August 6th, and this is quote, hippie drone, on August 6th, President Trump, citing security concerns similar to those raised against China-made drones, escalated his trade war with China when he signed a pair of executive orders effectively. CJ, dude, I've just found you again. I used to be glued to your Phantom 3. Whoa, the Phantom 3 stuff. And that paddling in the sea intro. Good to see you as well. Well, CJ, it is excellent to have you aboard, sir. I'm going to give you a celebratory sound of the Super Chat for free. That's what I like to hear, man. Dude. Thanks for your viewership, man. Those Phantom days, man, those were fun. And that paddling intro, that was fun. That was a little, I filmed that. I was in St. Martin, or Saint Martin, however you want to say it, on the French side of St. Martin. I don't speak French, but I was there, man. And you get on this kayak, and actually this little house I rented, it's basically this dude's basement, but it wasn't attached. It wasn't creepy. It was just like, it was a vacation rental, but you rented it. And it's like you go through these people's house, you see their indoor pool and their awesome view of the Caribbean, and then you just walk down outside and kind of like go to their basement area and go in this place. Very nice guest room, very basic. You know, you had a toilet, you had a shower, you had a couple beds, and that's about it. But you had 2 kayaks on the sand, and then you had a paddleboard, you had a hot tub, you had a refrigerator outside and a little kitchenette outside. So it was pretty cool, man. But yeah, that intro, I filmed that intro. I strapped a GoPro on my chest and went out and paddled over from St. Martin to Pinel Island, Islet Pinel, if you want to speak French. And so like paddled over and filmed that intro. So I'm glad you enjoyed that intro, man. I tell you, that intro was fun. And the ride back, after going to Pinel Island and having drinks over there, they had 2 restaurants on the island. They're only open during the day. You go over there, have some drinks, sit out on the beach, eat some good food, chase the iguanas, fly a drone, and then come back, man. It was a good paddle. The hippie drone says, effectively banning the use in the United States of 2 Chinese-owned software applications, TikTok and WeChat. Now, the TikTok I can understand. TikTok, I'm not a fan of TikTok. Now, and I'm not bashing the product, but it's one of those things I just don't, I never got on it. Number 1, I didn't trust it. Number 2, I wasn't interested in it. Again, TikTok, to me, is like a skateboard missing a wheel. YouTube is like a Maserati with 4 wheels and a full tank of gas. And just, out of the car, straight off the car lot. Really, really ready to go. So they're 2 different animals. But I don't think we should fear, and again, anything's possible, but I don't think we should fear the demise of DJI just because TikTok is getting the axe. I don't think we should jump to conclusions. Now, could it happen? Yeah, I mean, there's always a possibility. But I don't know. I don't want to live in fear. I mean, we're living in fear every day now because of this pandemic. We got squirt bottles of stuff, and we've got sore throats, and we've got headaches, and who knows, man? I mean, I don't know. CJ says, it was good stuff. I bought a Phantom 3 based on your channel. Still fly it too. Can't be bothered with these new models. They don't seem as robust. They're different. Now keep in mind, just because they're foldable and smaller and lighter doesn't mean they're poor quality. I mean, these new drones, man, they are exceptionally well made. The new DJI, actually the Mavic Air 2 is a steal of a deal. Top quality construction, awesome range. I mean, obviously fly line of sight to be safe and responsible. Super portable, super lightweight, exceptionally brilliant autofocus, outstanding, amazing battery life. But, I can read, what you're saying. I mean, DJI's DNA, when you think of DJI, it's like, well, what did it evolve from? Where did DJI come from? You see the Phantom. The Phantom is and always will be DJI. Even though they've evolved as a company and they've created better tech that's smaller, lighter, and better. When you think of DJI, at least when I think of DJI, I still see that Phantom in my head. And I've got a funny Phantom story I'll tell you here in a second. Hold on one second. Let me take a swig of this. So I was in Bermuda, and I went over there. Let me shoot you a link here. So I went to Bermuda. Pull this link up here. So here's the link. So I went to Bermuda with STK's Adventure Channel. And this is STK that I'm linking in the comments. So we get off that plane, man. We have flown in from Newark, New Jersey. So we flew all the way in from Newark. And we get through, we're in Bermuda. And we get through customs. And Bermuda Airport, very small airport. We get through customs, and at that point in time, they were Phantom 2 Vision Pluses. STK's Adventure Channel had a Phantom 2 Vision Plus, and I had a Phantom 2 Vision Plus. And we get out, we get through customs, and then they're like, hey, guys, y'all come back, in the Bermudian accent. I can't really do the Bermudian thing, the Bermudian accent, but it was like, they had that hey, governor, that kind of sound. But we went over there, and they're like, they were basically asking us, what do you have? Why do y'all have these huge and bright, yellow and bright orange hard cases? What do you have? What are you doing here? And then they asked us where we're staying. And it's like, well, we don't know where we're staying at this vacation rental. And they're like, well, where's that? And we said, oh, it's in St. George's. They're like, well, what's the street address? Lesson learned, when you go to Bermuda, not only do you have to know where you're staying, but you need to have the specific street address. And it's like, oh, well, we're just going out. We're getting, we got our taxi coming. We gave them the taxi cab or taxi driver's name. We're like, we're meeting so-and-so. And it was, it was pretty crazy, man. So, and they said, well, we got to see what's in that case. What's in that case? And so we pull our cases up and we put them on the customs counter. And then they're like, may we open it? And we're like, yeah, you're the customs, from Bermuda. So they put both of our cases on the counter of customs in the Bermuda's airport, the only airport in Bermuda. And they popped the thing, and then the case, not only my case, but STK's case, STK's Adventure Channel, they start to hiss because those Phantom 2 Vision Plus cases had pressure release valves. So these cases are hissing, customs is staring at us, and we're just like, hey, it's just a pressure release valve, and they're looking at us, and you see everybody's looking around, people are watching us on camera and watching them. And so they open it up. They're like, well, what is this? And this was back in the early days. This was Phantom 2 Vision Plus, man. And, we're not in the United States. We're in Bermuda. And they're like, what is this? Oh, this is a drone. Well, what are you doing with a drone? Oh, man, we're just going to ride around some mopeds, man, and get some good drone footage. And okay, well, and then they started talking about fishing, and they talked about they they hooked a huge marlin a few days ago, and they're like, if you need anything, just give us a shout while you're on the island, and this, that, and the other. So it was an interesting experience. I'll never forget that. You know, the Phantom 2 Vision Plus with the waterproof and ruggedized case with a pressure release valve in Bermuda's airport. It was one of those things. It was awkward, but it was enlightening. You know, it was a good experience. So, yeah, I mean, Phantom, man, Phantom's where it's at. You know, it's where it came from. It's where you found the channel, and I appreciate that. And I mean, I just like to have fun with these drones. And we're about an hour in, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, rather. And we're going to, see, I got to do this. Let's see, what do I have to do? Let's see, what is it? Oh, there it is, right there. Woohoo! Fire this up. Yes. CJ says, we could all use a pressure release valve at times. Your drones are cool. CJ, you are cool, man. And I tell you what, I'll be doing another live show here soon. Today's got to be a little bit abbreviated. It is 9:20 p.m. New York City time. And I'm the man of multiple hustles concurrently. So I gotta get some rest. I gotta get my mojo back, get rid of this cough that I don't really have a cough. I've just got congestion and a headache. Feels like it's right behind my eye. You know, it's brutal, man. So, you know, that being said, appreciate everyone tuning in. Appreciate the conversation. This is IrixGuy's live show, episode 110. This previously recorded live show you'll be able to find just go to IrixGuy.com and go to live shows, IrixGuy's live show, and you'll be able to watch it there if you want to watch a replay. Also, if you choose to support my channel, obviously feel free to support me on Patreon, patreon.com/IrixGuy. You can find a link to that within this video's description. Super chats during live shows are always welcome, and when you choose to do a super chat, the sound of the super chat will go off. And then CJ says, oh, it's 2:20 a.m. No doubt, man. Get some sleep, dude. Thanks for tuning in, dude, and thanks for the kind words, and see you next time, man. See you next time. And with that being said, I'll see everyone next time. Appreciate everyone tuning in. And this is, you know, just another live show here on IrixGuy's Adventure Channel, youtube.com/IrixGuy. So if you haven't subscribed, you know, be sure to do so and ring that bell icon to be notified whenever I post another video. Y'all have a good day. Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share. It's viewers like you that enable my channel to continue to grow. Thank you.